For more than 30 years, Britain secretly flew a warplane that officially didn't exist. It wasn't shown to the public. Most people in Parliament never even knew it was real. Yet while the world looked the other way, this aircraft was silently patrolling the edges of Soviet airspace, listening to every radar signal, every military transmission, and every electronic whisper that leaked across the Iron Curtain. One wrong move could have triggered an international crisis, or something far worse. The most shocking part, it looked just like an ordinary military plane. To Soviet radar operators, it was just another routine patrol aircraft crossing the cold skies above the North Sea. But inside, it was something completely different. This was Britain's invisible spy in the sky, the aircraft kept secret until 1997. And the reason it stayed hidden for so long is more unsettling than most people realize. When the Second World War ended, the world didn't enter peace. It entered a different kind of war. Almost overnight, yesterday's ally became tomorrow's enemy. The Soviet Union was rapidly expanding its military power, building missile systems, radar networks, and communication lines behind what soon became known as the Iron Curtain. For Britain, this created a terrifying problem. No one knew exactly what the Soviets were building. Traditional espionage was becoming almost impossible. Human agents were being discovered, border surveillance had severe limits, and aircraft that pushed too far into hostile airspace risked being shot down without warning. Britain needed a way to gather intelligence without openly starting a confrontation. That's when military planners turned to something far more advanced. Instead of sending spies on the ground, they wanted ears in the sky. The idea was simple but incredibly dangerous. Fly close enough to Soviet territory to capture radar signals, military radio chatter, and electronic fingerprints from hidden installations. Every radar system leaves a signature. Every military transmission tells a story. And if Britain could listen closely enough, they could map Soviet defenses without ever setting foot inside enemy territory. But there was one major problem. These missions would be extremely risky. Soviet fighters were known to intercept foreign aircraft aggressively, and any visible spy plane would instantly raise suspicion. So Britain needed the perfect cover, an aircraft that could hide in plain sight. And what they chose next was something no one saw coming, because this secret weapon was originally never built for war at all. Before it became one of Britain's most secret military assets, this aircraft started life as something completely different, a passenger jet. In the early 1950s, the de Havilland Comet was a symbol of British innovation, the world's first commercial jet airliner. At the time, it was revolutionary, faster, smoother, and far ahead of anything else in the skies. But then, disaster struck. A series of catastrophic mid-air breakups shocked the world. The aircraft was grounded, its reputation shattered almost overnight. For the public, it looked like the end of the comet, but behind military closed doors, officials saw something else: opportunity. Despite its troubled history, the airframe still had one huge advantage: space. The fuselage was large enough to carry not just passengers, but an enormous amount of highly specialized surveillance equipment. And that made it perfect for a secret transformation. Engineers quietly rebuilt the aircraft into a new military platform known as the Nimrod R1. On the outside, it appeared to be just another routine Royal Air Force patrol plane, but hidden inside were advanced receivers, recording systems, and intelligence consoles capable of capturing enemy radar signals across vast distances. What looked ordinary from the outside had become one of the most sophisticated spy aircraft Britain had ever operated. And soon, it would begin flying missions so dangerous that even the crews themselves understood one thing: if anything went wrong, the government might never publicly admit they were ever there. But the missions that followed were even more dangerous than anyone expected. What made the Nimrod R1 so effective wasn't just what it could do, it was what it looked like. From the outside, there was almost nothing unusual about it. Same paint, same Royal Air Force markings, same long patrol routes over cold northern waters. To anyone watching from the ground or even on enemy radar, it looked like a standard maritime patrol aircraft, just another plane doing routine surveillance over international waters. And that was exactly the point. Because hidden inside that ordinary shell was a flying intelligence center. Instead of carrying torpedoes and submarine hunting equipment like its sister aircraft, the R1 was packed with highly classified listening systems. Rows of electronic consoles lined the cabin. Operators sat in dimly lit compartments, headphones on, eyes locked onto glowing screens. Every radar pulse coming from Soviet territory was captured. Every military radio transmission was recorded. Every electronic signal was analyzed in real time. The plane wasn't just flying, it was listening, silently, constantly, patiently building a picture of Soviet defenses piece by piece. What radar systems were active, where missile sites were located, how often fighter bases communicated, even the habits of certain operators on the other side. Some signals officers became so familiar with Soviet routines that they could identify specific radar systems almost instantly, like recognizing a voice in the dark. And the genius of it all was this. The Soviets often saw the aircraft, but didn't immediately know what it really was. To them, it appeared harmless, routine, predictable. But that illusion wouldn't last forever, because the closer Britain flew to Soviet airspace, the more dangerous these missions became. And what happened next pushed crews to the absolute edge. This was no ordinary reconnaissance flight. Every mission carried the risk of disaster. The Nimrod R1 regularly flew patrols near some of the most heavily defended regions in the world, especially around the Baltic Sea and the Barents Sea, close to key Soviet military installations. These were the skies where one mistake could spiral into an international incident. And the Soviets knew exactly what Britain was doing. Soon, interceptions became routine. Without warning, Soviet fighter jets would appear on the horizon, fast, aggressive, closing in within seconds. MiGs would rush toward the slow-moving British aircraft, then suddenly match speed just meters away, close enough for the British crew to see the pilot's face through the canopy. Sometimes the Soviet jets flew so near that one wrong movement could have caused a fatal collision. Imagine sitting inside that aircraft, hearing the engines roar while an armed fighter carrying missiles slides into view just outside your window. The message was unmistakable. We see you. We know what you're doing. But the British crews had strict orders. No panic, no sudden turns, no aggressive response. Stay calm, stay on course, and keep recording everything. Even these terrifying encounters became intelligence. The pilots stayed steady while the operators inside continued listening, now capturing not only radar signals, but the communications between Soviet fighters and their ground controllers. Every hostile interception gave Britain more insight into how Soviet air defense systems reacted under pressure. In one especially dangerous encounter, a Soviet jet reportedly came within just a few meters of the aircraft. For years, the Nimrod R1 had lived in the shadows, listening, tracking, watching. But in 1982, everything changed. When Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, Britain was suddenly pulled into a war nearly 8,000 miles from home. The Royal Navy was preparing to send a task force across the South Atlantic, but there was one terrifying problem. They didn't fully know what they were sailing into. Enemy radar positions, air defense systems, missile launch procedures, military communications. All of that information could mean the difference between victory and disaster. So Britain quietly deployed the one aircraft built for exactly this kind of mission, the Nimrod R1. Officially, it still didn't exist, but behind the scenes, it became one of the most important assets in the war. Flying from Ascension Island, the aircraft began long-range intelligence missions over the South Atlantic, intercepting Argentine military communications and mapping radar activity before British forces moved into range. Every transmission mattered. fighter launch orders, naval movement reports, air defense warnings. The crew inside the aircraft worked non-stop, listening to enemy chatter and building a real-time picture of Argentine operations. Then came the moment that changed everything. When HMS Sheffield was struck by an Exocet missile, the threat became brutally clear. Britain was facing a deadly missile system capable of sinking warships in minutes. And suddenly, the intelligence gathered by the Nimrod R1 became even more critical. Its intercepts helped commanders understand how these attacks were being coordinated, how pilots communicated, which radar systems activated before launch, what warning patterns appeared before an incoming strike. Those few extra minutes of warning could save lives, and in war, minutes can change history. The aircraft that had spent decades spying in silence was now actively helping Britain fight a real conflict. But this was only the beginning, because less than 10 years later, it would be called upon again, this time in one of the heavily defended airspaces on Earth. In 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and once again, Britain needed intelligence before sending aircraft into danger. This time, the enemy wasn't Argentina. It was Saddam Hussein's military backed by one of the densest air defense networks in the region. Surface-to-air missile systems, Soviet-made radar installations, anti-aircraft batteries, interception networks. Coalition aircraft couldn't simply fly in blind. They needed to know exactly where the threats were. So once again, the Nimrod R1 was deployed. Flying near the Saudi-Iraqi border, the aircraft began doing what it had always done best: listening. Its operators captured Iraqi radar frequencies, identified communication patterns, and mapped the electronic order of battle. Every radar sweep, every command signal, every burst of military radio traffic, all of it was fed back to coalition planners. And this intelligence directly shaped the air campaign. When the war began, coalition pilots were able to target radar stations and missile systems with incredible precision. Aircraft carrying anti-radiation missiles locked on to the very signals the Nimrod had been collecting. In simple terms, the spy plane helped blind the enemy before the main strikes even began. This was no longer just surveillance. It had become a battlefield weapon, a silent force that shaped the outcome of modern warfare without ever firing a single shot. And even after the Cold War ended, its missions didn't stop. It later supported operations in Afghanistan and Libya, proving that even decades later, its role was still vital. But despite helping in multiple wars, the British public still had no idea this aircraft had ever existed. And that may be the most unbelievable part of the entire story. Here's what makes this story almost unbelievable. Even after helping Britain through multiple wars, the Nimrod R1 was still officially a secret. For decades, the British public had no idea this aircraft was even real. If anyone asked questions about unusual Nimrod variants seen at RAF bases, the official explanation was simple. It was just a training aircraft, a radar calibration platform, routine military support, nothing more. And for years, that story held. The government kept its real purpose buried inside classified defense budgets and restricted intelligence briefings. Very few people outside a small military and intelligence circle knew the truth. Even many members of parliament reportedly had little visibility into its real mission. Why keep it hidden for so long? The obvious answer was national security. If adversaries knew exactly what the aircraft could detect, they could change radar frequencies, tighten encryption, and redesign their communication systems. In other words, revealing the spy plane could instantly make it less effective. But there was another side to it. Secrecy also protected the government from difficult questions. Questions about dangerous missions near Soviet airspace. Questions about how close Britain may have come to international incidents. Questions about what really happened during certain operations. For nearly 30 years, the plane remained a ghost, seen in the sky, talked about in whispers, but never officially acknowledged. Until finally, in 1997, everything changed. After decades of silence, Britain finally confirmed the existence of the Nimrod R1 in 1997. The secret warplane was real. The Cold War spy missions were real. The dangerous intercepts near Soviet territory were real. And the aircraft had been operating in the shadows for over 3 decades. But strangely, the reveal didn't create the massive public reaction you might expect. There was no dramatic national announcement, no huge press conference, no headline-dominating scandal. The confirmation was released quietly, almost as if the government wanted the story to pass by unnoticed. And for many people, it did. The aircraft continued serving well into the 21st century, supporting operations in Afghanistan and later Libya, before finally being retired in 2011. By then, it had spent nearly 40 years doing the work it was built for, listening where no one else could, protecting forces before battles even began, fighting wars without ever firing a shot. Its missions helped shape British military strategy across multiple generations. Yet even today, most people have never heard its name. And that might be the most fascinating part of all. Some of the most important weapons in history were never meant to be seen. For more than 30 years, Britain's most important spy aircraft officially never existed. It flew through the most dangerous skies of the Cold War. It helped protect fleets in wartime. It intercepted signals that may have prevented even larger conflicts. And all of it happened in total secrecy. So here's the unsettling question. If a warplane this important stayed hidden until 1997, what else is still flying in secret right now?